She said she didn't cheat, but she gave him the best parts of her while I folded laundry beside her, clueless. I wasn't snooping. I need to get that out of the way first. It wasn't one of those suspicious husband moves where I had this gut feeling and flipped her laptop open under the glow of the fridge light at 2 a.m. That would have at least given me some kind of narrative. Like, yeah, man's intuition, I knew something was off. But this was just dumb luck. Or very bad luck, depending on how you look at it. She borrowed my laptop to upload some pictures for her mom's birthday slideshow. Facebook was still logged in when I opened it the next morning at work. Right in the middle of my browser, like some kind of bomb that didn't even try to hide. At first, I didn't care. I was just closing tabs like a zombie. But I saw her name in the top right corner, and that little red messenger icon bouncing subtly at me. And I don't know why, but I clicked it. That moment lives in my body now, like a bad tooth. The first message I saw was from someone named Ben. Just a simple, still thinking about you this morning. And her reply, I had to bite my tongue the whole breakfast with the kids. Wish we were someplace else. Just us. I just froze. Not for dramatic effect. It was that literal kind of freezing, like my hand on the keyboard went numb. I didn't even understand what I was reading. Like maybe it was code for something or a really disturbing joke. I scrolled up and kept scrolling. All the way back. First message between them somewhere in 2016, I think. Maybe earlier. I didn't count. I couldn't. I was too busy trying to keep myself upright in a chair I've sat in 1,000 times without it feeling like a ledge. They'd started talking again a year after our first kid was born. Casual messages at first. The kind of thing you'd chalk up as harmless. Plenty of how have you been and saw this today reminded me of your dumb laugh. College stuff. Inside jokes. Then it started shifting. Little nothings turning into emotional foreplay. Quotes about soulmates. Regrets. In another life if times had been different there wasn't anything overtly sexual, which, weirdly, almost made it worse, because love was buried in there. Like real love, or something dressed up to imitate it. She told him she looked him up all the time before she had the courage to message. Said she thought about him when we fought. Said she named our daughter after a character in a book they both obsessed over back in college. And I'm sitting there reading receipts of emotion, while the woman, who sleeps beside me, is probably off picking up snacks for our son's lunchbox. I didn't confront her that night. Or the next. Or the next. I don't even remember the next few days very clearly. It's like going underwater. Just blurry motion and muffled sound. I went to work. I came home. I smiled at the kids. We made pasta. I asked her about her day and didn't flinch when she touched my arm. I became a really good actor. Or maybe a ghost. Hard to say. What's wild is, I wasn't even angry right away. That came later. First, I felt embarrassed. Just so entirely humiliated that I'd been living in this warm, dumb bubble while she kept this back door open for someone else. For years. Years where we potty trained our kids and painted the guest room and talked about whether we could afford to replace the car. Meanwhile, somewhere in that same house, she was daydreaming about a person who didn't have to fold laundry next to her at 10 p.m. And the kicker? I knew about Ben. Sort of. She'd mentioned him a couple times early in our relationship. My college boyfriend, she said offhandedly, like he was a paper cut that healed. We were dramatic. First love stuff. Nothing serious. I remember her laughing about how he'd once tried to make her a mixtape and gotten the track order wrong. It felt harmless. Way back than it always does. Now I'm replaying the last 8 years like a detective watching surveillance footage in reverse. Trying to find the moment she stopped giving me all of her and started saving the best parts for someone else. There's this one memory that keeps coming back to me. I think because of how simple it is. It was a Sunday last fall. Cloudy. We were carving pumpkins on the porch with the kids. And I remember she just looked really at peace. Like she wasn't thinking about the dishes or her deadlines for once. She had orange guts on her hands, and she was helping our daughter get the seeds into a bowl like it mattered. I remember thinking, this is it, man. You made it. You picked a good partner. Look how happy she is. Now I can't stop wondering if Ben got a message that night too. Missed you today. Wish I was drinking cider in your hoodie instead. God, what the hell do you even call this? She didn't cheat, right? Not technically, but she also did not cheat. So I'm floating somewhere in the stupidest part of limbo, where you still love the person who gutted you, and they still make the best lasagna you've ever had. And every time she smiles at me, I don't know if it's mine, or if she's sending it to someone else in her head. I started asking myself weird, impossible questions, like, would I rather she just slept with him once, some random night during a conference or something, a clean, horrible betrayal I could at least quantify? Or was this worse? Slow, private erosion, her heart leaking affection over thousands of typed messages while she held our newborn in the other hand. God, I don't even know what 6 scale I'm using anymore. I couldn't bring myself to read more conversations. Just enough to get the shape of it. She never said anything like, let's run away together. But she also didn't shut anything down. There was a flirtation with boundaries she never actually named. Emotional intimacy saturated those messages like mold behind wallpaper. Invisible until it starts to rot everything from the inside out. My brain went into lockdown mode. I deleted the chat window. Cleared the history. Never mentioned it. But everything was loud after that. Too sharp. Every touch. Every love you. I was watching her in real time, trying to find, I don't know, clues, clean edges, signs that she wanted to be here really, or signs that she didn't. Have you ever started spying on someone emotionally? It feels like standing outside your own house, watching your family through the window, wondering how long they've been pretending you weren't inside. One night, about 2 weeks after the discovery, we were brushing our teeth, not talking. She had her hair pulled back in the stupid scrunchie I hate. The green one that makes her look like a high school softball player. And I remember she bumped into me by accident at the sink and just chuckled softly and said, sorry, babe. Babe. That's when the anger finally hit, like slammed through my ribs. Because how many of those little words, those tiny default couple things, had she said while chatting with him in the background? How many nights had she tucked herself into the crook of my arm while her mental playlist was still playing his name in the corners? After that, I couldn't sleep. I'd stare at the ceiling next to her, wondering what part of her I ever actually owned, if that's even the right word. Maybe shared is better, but it didn't feel like sharing. It felt like I'd been left with the crumbs of something pre-chewed. And look, I'm not naive. I know people fantasize. I know we all have what-ifs and old ghosts, and the one that got away. Files we visit quietly when things get hard. I get it, but this was a relationship. Hidden inside of ours. Parallel to ours. I couldn't shake the image. 2 train tracks running next to each other for 8 years. And I'm sitting on one of them thinking we're the only line, the only destination. But she's reading a different map the whole way. Then came the part one thought would break me. I checked her phone one night while she was in the shower. I wasn't even subtle about it. I wasn't proud, either. Just numb. Operating on satellite commands, like my body didn't care about integrity if my soul was on fire. Her phone was face down, unlocked, next to her bra on the bed. No new messages. Nothing from Ben. Nothing at all. Really, the thread was gone. Erased. Like it had never happened. Which should have made me feel better, I guess. Like, maybe she ended it. Maybe she did the right thing and cut it off and finally chose a family she built. But all I felt was panic. Because deleting doesn't mean closing the door. It just means hiding the hinges. I started noticing how often she looked at her phone, then smiled a little and put it down. Or how she'd zone out when folding clothes. Some nights she'd say she was tired and go to bed a little early after scrolling through her camera roll just to pick a picture for her mom. Funny how hard it gets to breathe when someone's lying to you in soft tones. I still hadn't confronted her. I couldn't seem to find the moment, or the words. I wanted to scream and cry and shake her awake. But then I'd see her cradling our son while helping him spell his name, or giving our daughter piggyback rides down the hallway, and I'd freeze again. Because what if she could still be that? A good mom, a loving partner. Even while holding on to someone else emotionally. Is that worse? Or more human? Am I furious at her, or at the reality that people just drift? That love isn't binary, and people split themselves between versions of happiness like investors hedging losses? God, I don't know. One night, I stared at her while she was asleep next to me. I do this thing where I race through time in my head. Imagine fast-forwarding 10, 15 years. Kids moving out, retirement, getting older, and catching each other through morning routines. And I pictured us still married, still together, still smiling in photos. But every once in a while, she still sneaks a private, aching thought toward him. And I'm just collateral love. Safe, present, good enough. That thought wrecked me. Not because I need to be everything to her, but because I wanted to believe, with my entire stupid, loyal heart, that she had stopped wondering what it would feel like to be elsewhere. And maybe she hasn't. Yet, eventually it spilled out of me, but not the way I'd imagined. I didn't sit her down calmly. I didn't bring printouts. No speech. No moral high ground. It just happened, slipped right out of my mouth like a bloody tooth I couldn't stand having anymore. She was doing laundry. I was on the floor with the kids building pillow forts. She walked into the hallway carrying a pile of towels and muttered something small and stupid. I don't remember what. Something like, "Can you move that?" I keep tripping over it. And I said, without looking up, "Do you still talk to Ben?" She stopped walking. I felt it before I heard it. The stillness behind me. I couldn't even explain how I knew her whole body clenched. I just did. What? My heart went arrhythmic. I stood up slowly. The kids were still playing. Oblivious. I saw messages. On Facebook. Months ago. My voice was flat, which surprised me. I thought it would quiver or crack or, I don't know, beg. But I was empty. I think real betrayal sterilizes you for a while. Still, she said nothing. You called him your soulmate. I added, not even knowing why I went with that line. Maybe because it hurt the most. She dropped the towels. Not metaphorically. She literally dropped them, like her hands just quit on her. You went through my messages? She asked, which, I'll admit, set something off in me. No. You left your Facebook open, and I saw the messages. They practically jumped out at me. Don't redirect this. She leaned against the wall, hand over her mouth, tears already starting, and I hated that I still recognized her sadness as real. Even now, some broken part of me wanted to protect it. How much did you read? Enough, I said. Enough to feel like a guest in my own marriage. She burst. It didn't mean anything. It was just, I don't even know. I was confused. It went too far. I stopped it months ago. I laughed then. Not loud, but bitter. Sharp. You called it love. For years. You didn't stop it. You fed it snacks and tucked it in. I didn't cheat on you, she said, like that was a defense. Like that was a moral boundary we should rally behind. Didn't you? I whispered. She slid down the wall, cried into her hands. And all I could think was, God, this isn't even the fight I wanted. This isn't satisfying. This is just sad. We didn't talk much after that. Not really. Bits and pieces over days. Fragmented conversations like assembling a ruined book. She told me they never met in person, that he lived in another state, that it started small and gained momentum, that she didn't know why, not fully, just that sometimes she felt like something in her got lost after the kids were born. That Ben reminded her of a version of herself she missed. That sentence hit me harder than everything else combined. She didn't miss him. Not exactly. She missed herself with him. And I got that. In a sick, aching way. I got that. Because there are versions of me, too, that I've buried deep under dishes and deadlines and shoulder pats at school pickup. I just didn't go searching for them inside someone else's heart. She said she wanted to fix it. That she still loved me. That she was sorry. Like so sorry. And I believed her. Kind of. But belief doesn't crawl back to bed with you that easily. It sleeps on the floor for a while. Maybe forever. I asked her one night if she ever planned on telling me. Her pause was too long. I don't know, she said. I wanted to stop it before it crossed some line. I didn't want to destroy us. But you already did. She cried again. I watched detached. Something about betrayal makes your empathy go quiet. Like it's still there, but somewhere down the hallway behind a locked door, waiting for you to unlock it, if you're ever ready. And here's the most messed up part. I couldn't even tell you if I want a divorce. It would be easier in some ways. Yeah, clean pain. Fresh start. No more paranoia. But I love her. I still find her beautiful. I still look at her hands when she's driving and feel something warm and stupid twist in my ribs. I still see echoes of the woman I married in the kitchen, shuffling through grocery lists and mismatched socks. And our kids, God, they adore her. She's a good mom. The kind you film on your phone when she's not looking. That version of her didn't vanish. It overlaps with this other version I don't know how to trust. So what'd I do with that? One morning, our son asked if I was sad. I hadn't said anything. Nothing had changed. But he looked up at me over his cereal bowl and said, Daddy, your face is droopy like when it rains. It gutted me, because he could tell that something had already shifted, that some tectonic crack had split the foundation between us. And I wondered how many rainy expressions they've witnessed without understanding why. Some days, it feels like nothing ever happened. We make pancakes. We argue about screen time. One kid gets ketchup on the dog. She laughs. I roll my eyes, we clean up together. And in those moments, if I squint hard enough, emotionally, we're just us. But I know better now. There's a seam in our marriage. A stitched up rip. I can still run my fingers along when I turn over in bed. That's the part people don't tell you about betrayal. It doesn't always explode. Sometimes it seeps. She's been trying. I'll give her that. Little things. She asks more questions. Puts her phone in another room when we watch TV. Started going back to therapy. Sends me random photos through the day of the kids doing dumb stuff. Or just a dumb selfie with some thinking of you caption that probably means something to her. And I want it to mean something to me. But there's a numbness I can't shake yet. Like someone rewired the way I receive her affection. She told me, on a Wednesday night, pretty recently, that she hasn't heard from him since she ended it. That he didn't fight her on it. That he took the out she gave and hasn't resurfaced since. And I believe her. I have to. Or at least pretend I do. Just to keep the air from collapsing between us. But the part that cracks me open in small, quiet places is this. He didn't have to be bad. He didn't need to chase her or threaten or seduce. He was just available, honest in a way real life doesn't always allow. He got confession while I got performance. He got vulnerability without fatigue. She told him things she never told me. And some of that, weirdly, I get. That's the human part. We all save private rooms in our heads for alternate dialogues. But what she built with him wasn't just a room. It was a whole damn cabin, fully furnished with memories and fantasies and music and quotes, and their weird shared jokes about feta cheese. And yet, when I stand over our kids' beds at night and watch them twitch in their sleep, there's a heaviness that keeps me rooted. Like, yeah, she cracked something. Deep. But do I burn the whole house because one door won't lock? I still haven't told anyone. Not a soul. Not my brother. Not my best friend. Definitely not my parents. I'm walking around carrying this marriage like glass, while everyone sees a solid, happy thing. And part of me wonders if that's what most people are doing. Just dragging cracked glass with a smile on their face, praying it doesn't shatter while their kids are watching. I had a dream about her last week. In it, she was younger, college age again, wearing some yellow hoodie she doesn't own anymore. We were on a train, not talking, and she had headphones in, staring out the window, totally at peace, totally disconnected from me. And for some reason, in the dream, I knew she was texting him, and I felt that cold, hard emptiness start in my chest, that same pit I lived in for months. But then, just before I woke up, she turned, pulled out one earbud, smiled gently, and handed it to me. I don't know what it means. Probably nothing. Probably everything. We started marriage counseling. We sit awkwardly on this corduroy couch while some soft-voiced woman named Elaine asks us how we learn love as children. There's a lot of silence. More than I expected. But sometimes she cries. Sometimes I do too. I told Elaine that I don't know who I am in this marriage anymore. That the role I thought I was playing, dependable husband, safe harbor, laughter on weekends, feels like a caricature next to this shadow version of me. The betrayed one. The second choice. The one she didn't text when she needed escape. And my wife, my actual flawed, grieving wife, she said, I did love him. Or at least who I was with him. But I chose this. I still choose this. And if you give me the chance, I want to keep choosing you. It wasn't some grand monologue. Her voice cracked. She was shaking. But it was simple, honest, not dramatic, just real. And I didn't say anything back, not right away. But I didn't walk away either. I didn't flinch when she reached for my hand. And maybe that matters more than I give it credit for. Some days, I feel like I'm still losing. Still bleeding quietly inside the shell of this trying again version of us. But other days, like when she rests her head on my shoulder in bed after the lights are off and says, tell me something stupid about your day, I remember the version of her that's here, still walking this path with me, still learning how to be whole with me, not just with the ghosts we used to love. Truth is, I'm grieving a version of my marriage that never really existed. But maybe, just maybe, we get to build a new one with what's left. Not the same, not perfect, just honest,